All right, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll get started with some comments from Coach and then take questions.
Well, it's been good to get going this week, and appreciate the efforts of everyone, and looking forward to finishing up our preparation, and most importantly, back home and getting a chance to play.
Jeff?
Yeah, Paul, you've talked about ball security, and I'm just curious, sometimes turnovers can be the result of a great defensive play, a guy just making a hell of a play. Do you agree that some of your turnovers this year have been just self-inflicted, things that you should be able to control with better fundamentals?
Yeah, I think that there's no doubt that there are, you've seen enough football, everyone sees enough football. There are times where that you give hats off, right? That's a heck of a play by that person. And I think, as you go and when you're coaching, I think that you always try to find ways, even on those that they've made a good play on. I think there's areas that you try to find that, we can turn this, instead of an interception, we can turn it into maybe just an incompletion. There's no doubt there's been some, you talk about quarterback, running back exchange, right? That's the base fundamentals, the kind of some of the early ones are definitely that. And then, I think there's a couple that you're playing, and like anything, when you're off just a little bit, it compounds it, right? Location of a throw or kind of where you're at as a receiver, because there is some anticipation that has to go into playing the game. And so I think that you still, for the most part, and I think that's the way you have to approach it, that you can find areas to certainly minimize the risk of each play. And, that's what we've got to continue to work on.
Well, I know there have been some struggles in the passing game overall, but how can you as a play caller and the offense as a whole get a guy like Chimere Dike more involved? You just haven't seen him make the plays that he kind of became known for last season.
Yeah, I think, I've loved the way that Chim goes about, and the way he practices, his preparation, the way he's always competing. And I think that, the plays will come. He's too good of a player. And certainly, anytime you've got a good player, you want to get them involved. And Chim certainly fits that billing. And yet I think that, like anything, if you can't force the game either, right? And so there's no question in my mind it will come for him. And he's been doing some good things, and it's just a combination of the ball finding him and being on it. But he does everything he can to put himself in position, and for that you appreciate him. Love having him on this team.
Steve?
I'm just wondering from your perspective, how has Graham kind of responded this week to kind of the adversity, and is he definitively your starter Saturday?
Yeah, and he's got to respond, right? And that's every one of us has to respond. And that's when I said I've appreciated the way that the guys have worked, and they've gone about it. It's a lot of that is owning kind of where you're at and what you're doing, and Graham is knowing, nor should he be any different than that.
Back to Colton.
Well, after what happened on the kick return last week, is there a change personnel-wise, or is it guys coming back healthy? It's going to maybe help out the kick coverage this week?
You're always, it's all of that, right? I mean, it's our job and to make sure you're getting the best players out there, and then that we're executing it accordingly. And so, anytime, probably other than you can't even say it for the first game, there's always going to be, especially on special teams, there's going to be some changes. And so, we've certainly, we know the results that we need to have, and we're going to be tested. This is a good Michigan football team, and you see their athletic ability, and it's well coached, but their special teams units are to me, like their defense, like their offense. It's a good unit, and so we've got to make sure that we do a great job in our special teams, and it's going to take all three units, defense, offense, special teams for us to have a chance to win.
Back to Jeff.
I was going to ask you about their special teams. Do they have the ability to flip the field with their punter? And is that concern, or what about their return game as well? What stands out for those guys?
I think, yes, I think all their special teams units, quite honestly, Jeff, have that ability to be able to impact the game, which kind of what you said in the question is when you flip a field, right? That's how you do it in special teams, right? And I think they do have the returners, I think, are really skilled. And yet I think everyone knows too that just having a skilled returner, it's a good thing, but it's not enough, right? You got to have pieces around it. And I think that's where they do a good job with it. And you see it, like I said, you see their athleticism, you see physicality out of their special teams and their coverage units. They're I think it's, like I said, I think they're good units, and collectively as special teams, it's one where, we certainly have to be on our game. They're going to be on their game, and those plays in general have so much of an opportunity to affect the field, field position that'll be a big part of the story, I believe.
All right, we'll wrap things up with one more from Paul.
Well, I just want to know if Fayon's been able to practice this week, and then if you expect him to be able to play Saturday.
Yeah, he has been able to practice, and that's been good.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Everybody.